dear Tracy, your conduct last night was so shocking to my ideals of womanhood that my attitude toward you and the prospects of a happy and useful life together has changed materially. Your totally unexpected breach of common decency, not to mention the moral aspect, certainly...
Remember the door? Tracy!
Hello, George.
Tracy! All these people.
It's only a letter from a friend, and these are my friends. And not to mention the moral aspect certainly entitles me to a full explanation before going through with our proposed marriage. In the light of day, I hope you will agree with me. Otherwise, with profound regrets and all best wishes, yours very sincerely. Well, yes, George, I quite agree with you. In the light of day or the dark of night, for richer or poorer, or better or worse, in sickness and in health, I thank you so much for your good wishes at this time.
That's all you've got to say?
What else? Oh, I wish for your sake as well as mine I had an explanation, but I've got none. You'd better just say good riddance to me, George.
It isn't easy, you know.
I don't see why not.
Would you say something?
Wait. You'll grant I have a right to be angry, and very angry.
You certainly had. You certainly have.
For your sake as well, you said...
Yes, it would be nice to know.
Say something.
Wait a minute.
What for?
Enough, Rome. I mean, on the very eve of your wedding, an affair with another man?
I told you I agreed, George. And I tell you again, good riddance to me.
Well, that's for me to decide.
Well, I wish you would. A little quicker.
Look, Kittridge.
I wish there was some way to make you see that in spite of it, or maybe even because of it, I feel I'm somewhat more of a person now, George.
That's a little difficult to understand.
Yes, I can see that it would be.
Not necessarily.
You keep out of it.
Yes, I am out of it.
Look, Kittridge, it might just interest you to know that this so-called affair consisted of exactly 2 kisses and one rather late swim.
Mike, there's no need to.
All of which I thoroughly enjoyed, and the memory of which I wouldn't part with for anything.
It's no use, Mike.
After which, I escorted her to her room, deposited her on her bed, and promptly returned to you two on the porch, as you will doubtlessly remember.
Doubtless, without a doubt.
You mean to say that that's all there was to it?
I do.
Why? Was I so damned unattractive, so distant and forbidden? I'm asking a question!
You were very attractive, and as for distant and forbidding, on the contrary, you were somewhat the worse, or the better, champagne. There are rules about that, damn it.
Thank you, Mike. I think that are wonderful.
The little dears.
Well, this is a relief, I must admit, but still.
Why? If my marvelous, beautiful virtue is still intact, it's no thanks to me, I assure you.
I don't think...
It is purely the courtesy of the gentleman from South Bend.
Local papers, please copy.
I failed to see the humor in this situation, Miss Embry.
I appreciate that. I did too at first.
Oh, Liz.
It's all right, Tracy. We all go a little haywire sometimes. And if we don't, maybe we ought to.
Liz.
You see, Mr. Kittridge, it wasn't Tracy at all last night. It was another girl, a Miss Dawn Perignon.
You'd had too much to drink.
That seems to be the consensus of opinion.
Will you promise me never to touch the stuff again?
No, George, I don't believe I will. There are certain things about that other girl I quite like.
But a man expects his wife
To behave herself. Naturally.
To behave herself naturally. Sorry.
If it weren't for the drink last night, all this might not have happened.
But apparently nothing did. And what made you think it had?
It didn't take too much imagination, I can tell you that.
Not much, perhaps, but just of a certain kind.
It seems you didn't think any too well of yourself.
That's the funny thing, George. For some reason, I felt that you thought better of me than I did.
I'm not going to quibble, Tracy. All the evidence was there.
And I was guilty, straight off. That is, until I was proven innocent.
Well?
Downright un-American, if you ask me.
No one is asking you!
Listen, he's ready. And holy cow, guess what?
What?
He loves it. He says it's brilliant. He wants it for destiny.
I give up.
Who wants what?
Sydney Kidd. Sydney Kidd!
Sydney Kidd is here himself?
Big as life, and twice as handsome. Boy, is this wedding gonna be a national affair now.
That's extremely kind and thoughtful of you. Come on, Tracy. It must be getting late. Let's let bygones be bygones. What do you say?
Yes. And goodbye, George.
I don't understand you.
Please. Goodbye.
But what on earth?
I imagine she finds your explanation most inadequate.
Now look here, Tracy.
You're too good for me, George. You're 100 times too good for me.
Well, I never said I...
And I'd make you most unhappy. Most. Well, that is, I'd do my best to.
Well, if that's the way you want it.
That's the way it is, George.
All right. Well, I suppose it's just as well.
I thought you'd eventually think so.
You know, I've got a feeling you've got a lot more to do with this than anyone.
A novel, and an interesting idea, I'm sure.
You and your whole rotten class.
Class, ma.
Listen! You're all on your way out, the lot of you. And don't think you aren't. Yes. And good riddance. Ah, stupid!